Hey everybody, welcome to yet another episode of the Brief Nerdity podcast. I'm your host Ryan. Joining once again is my co-host and good friend Trent.
Hello.
And our all-time favorite guest TJ. How you doing?
Hi everybody. Hi.
Gotten significantly nerdier or is reverse going through puberty? So one or the other.
Oh, reverse puberty. That would be terrible.
Myself.
But I don't even know what puberty feels like yet. So.
Don't you have children?
Nope.
What? I thought you had
Nope.
children.
No, not yet.
Huh.
I'm enough of a child for now.
Aren't we all?
You would think if you looked at all the stuff I own, you'd think I had a child.
I mean, you're perfectly set up for it. Born into like a wonderful like play world of Nintendo.
Yeah, pretty much. My wife and I always laugh because when we have kids, they're going to see all my stuff and we're going to say, now remember, those are daddy's toys. You have your toys and it's just like some like Duplo blocks in the corner.
That's pretty much how it is when people come over to my house because I have like my amiibo and action figures like all on display in bookshelves in my living room, and I'm just like, no touchy.
Yeah. Well, now that we like moved into a house, now that we have a house and it's like we'll have this stuff out in the open, now we're going to have like kids coming over, like, you know, nieces and nephews and you know, friends' kids. And now I'm like, oh, geez.
Yeah, like when I do family dinner stuff with my family, they nieces and nephews will steal my grandmother's tablet, or like their grandma's tablet, not my grandma, but and she had a stylus with it for a long time, but like the other end was not very screen friendly, and one of the kids just like scraped that thing all over the screen and just scratched the heck out of it, and I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's terrible.
Nope.
This is why I don't bring stuff, or if it's there, it stays locked away. Like,
Yeah.
oh.
That's why I think all my fun, cool stuff will be in the office, and that door will be closed when people come over.
There you go.
All right, well, we have a fun round robin for you all this week. TJ, why don't you take some time to explain it, as it was your idea?
Yeah, so I thought we'd play a little game this week. It's a game I thought up not too long ago. I'm calling it the Decades game. So basically how it works is the three of us, I figure, are all roughly the same age, so we grew up with a lot of the same stuff. So we will start with the 1980s. So we'll have the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. And there will be four categories: movies, music, TV, and games. So what we have to do is we have to pick one of those categories and place it in one of those decades. But the twist is when you pick that category, that means anything else in that category from the other decades no longer exists. So like, for example, if you pick video games for the 80s, that means anything from 90s and beyond in the video game world does not exist anymore. So you got to be very careful with how you place this stuff. It's going to take some thought, but I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I think it will be too. All right, should we do everyone says what they want in the 80s first, or should we have each person go through all four decades?
Or maybe just pick a category and go around one at a time.
Either one. TJ?
I think we should take turns just saying all four.
Okay.
Sounds good. Well, I have yet to finish mine, so one of you needs to go first.
I will be happy to go first. Okay. So obviously, it's not an easy decision because there's movies, TV, games in every decade that are amazing, and to only pick one decade out of a 40-year span is quite tough. So, but here we go.
Now wait, not to interrupt you, but I think we need to decide this. So when we say, I know I made this game up and I don't even know the rules. If we say that that the other things no longer exist, does that mean they never existed, or we're saying from this point forward they no longer exist? So
I wouldn't even go as far as say they don't exist. Maybe just like you're not allowed to play, watch, listen to.
Okay, so we know we'll have memories of them. We will be able to miss them. Okay.
I just don't want to get in a weird paradox to where like Super Mario 64 didn't exist, so Super Mario Galaxy can't possibly exist because of it. You know.
So no time paradoxes.
Because it's like, hey Ryan, what do you think of Super Mario World? What's that?
What? I don't
What's
understand.
Mario? I remember Jumpman.
See the guy that Donkey Kong throws those barrels at?
All right, so they
we-
have
we-
existed.
Yeah,
but
we
they will
acknowledge
no-
their existence, but
Okay.
imagine, your worst enemy got a genie, and he wished for you to be put in this situation to where you have to choose one, and live the rest of your days only watching, listening, or playing to the stuff from that decade. So,
Okay. All right. Let's do
all
it.
right, we're all clear on the rules. We got this. All right. First up, the '80s. I had to go with movies for this one. I'm a huge fan of '80s movies. I wouldn't say that they're the best decade for movies ever, but considering the other choices we have in there, there's a lot of good competition in there, and mainly because my two favorite movies are within that era. Not counting A New Hope, but we do have Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. The two best Star Wars movies, in my opinion, in there, and Back to the Future, and I believe one of its sequels, or maybe did both sequels get released before the '80s? I don't remember.
Both did, yeah, because they filmed them back to back.
So yeah, we got the back end of the Star Wars trilogy, and then all three Back to the Future movies.
But that means you'll never be able to watch the prequels again.
I know, it's so sad.
But isn't that weird that you will now live in a world where you can never watch A New Hope ever again?
Well, again, like A New
No, I'm
Hope is
kinda
pretty
okay
much
with
burned into my memory at this point, and like there we go, kind of breaking our rule. But as much as I would have missed A New Hope, I'd what choice do I have? Do I pick the '90s and get all the special editions? I guess, does that count?
Oh well, no, but that means you wouldn't get the special editions.
Yeah, exactly. So
Okay, all right. I like this so far. I like it.
So, and then there's a bunch of other amazing movies in the '80s, such as like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, The Land Before Time, The Secret of Nim, Ghostbusters, Never Ending Story. List can go on. The '80s were chock full of wonderful movies. What?
Back to the Future.
Yes. So yeah, '80s for movies. Now '90s. Okay. Gonna have to go with video games on that one. That was the era of the Super NES and the N64. Not to mention PC games like Age of Empires and StarCraft. In my opinion, the best days of the real-time strategy games.
Okay.
But yeah, mainly focusing on the Super Nintendo and the N64 era. As much as Mass Effect is my favorite game trilogy of all time, that, like Star Wars, that is also split up into two different decades. I don't want to really do that again. But B, the Super Nintendo and the N64 just as a whole were chocked full of just amazing, classic, beautiful games. One of the things that makes the Super NES Classic so, such a good idea, because pretty much every single one of those games is a A+ rated game.
Absolutely.
So, and I love me some N64 as well. So I don't even get me started on how much I love the N64. So I have to go '90s for video games. 2000s, I'm going to go with music. Mainly because I have to pick one for music, and that was my high school years. So probably most of the music I actually know of is from that decade. Obviously there's lots of '80s and '90s music that's good. I really like AC/DC and stuff, but I really got into good music from the 2000s, which some people don't think are good, like Nickelback and Linkin Park, and Blink-182 and Weezer and Yellowcard.
Are these all bands? Are those bands you like?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
I know Nickelback, controversial. I know, but
yeah, starting off with Nickelback is what threw me off. I was like, is this a list of bands he hates?
I've known about that for a long time, ever since his first movie music mashup video that he made with.
It was my very first YouTube video ever. Not even joking. I made it. I made it before YouTube was a thing, and I posted it on like a just a music video website. Maybe it was like eBombs or something. I don't remember, but. But yeah, it was the Spider-Man Nickelback Hero song, like I am so high, that one.
And they say that a hero can't say too much.
But I did that to just episode 3. It was right after episode 3 came out on video, and then so I ripped it and then made a music video with episode 3 and that.
Wow.
And that song, so.
It's actually a really good video. Like he times the music really well. I was impressed.
Thanks.
Yeah,
I would love to see that.
We will link it in the description below.
Please do. Please.
gotta make note of that.
Well, not to interrupt, but I figured this topic would spark some conversation. And you mentioned Linkin Park, so I think now's a good time to mention with Chester Bennington recently committing suicide. What are your thoughts on that?
It's sad, Anytime someone commits suicide, it's very, very sad. But
it's just very strange because he has a family, he's got kids, he seemed happy. Linkin Park is still very popular. They're still making new music, so it just kind of came out of nowhere. And then I guess he was really good friends with Chris Cornell, who not too long ago also committed suicide. And then Chester killed himself on Chris Cornell's birthday. So just very strange to the whole thing and very sad.
Yeah, just unfortunately, you can never tell how someone is really feeling, and someone who is severely depressed can have everything in the world or even put on a good face, for friends and family. And so,
yeah, I posted about this on Facebook the day that it happened. Just thinking that, there's a lot of times both in high school and in college that I would use Linkin Park music to, kind of deal with depression or sadness or anger or things like that, because a lot of that music is very either rage filled or kind of angsty and just really good at channeling those types of feelings. And it's just I was thinking about just how I wonder if his music did the same thing for him in making it, and I hope that that's the case, because it's just so sad. It's just like Robin Williams. You think of someone whose art has helped so many people deal with those problems, and then they end up losing their own battle to it. It's just really depressing and sad.
Yeah. So you were also a Linkin Park fan?
Oh yeah, huge. I bought their first 2 albums. I probably have almost every song on those 2 albums memorized still.
Yeah, I remember when they came out, and then me being from the Chicago area, Linkin Park Zoo. Everyone's what, Linkin Park? But I know they're one of those bands that gets a lot of crap from people, but those first 2 albums, those still really mean a lot to me. And listening to them now, it's kind of strange, the mark that he left on them, because you were saying, Trent, a lot of those lyrics and stuff are kind of about dealing with that stuff. And now that he committed suicide, listening to the songs, you almost hear them in a different way now. And I kind of think how's the band going to go on? First off, are they going to continue on without him? And if they do, just hearing that, every day, performing those songs without him, but then hearing what they're about, it's I don't know how they're going to do it.
They already lost one of their main members, didn't they? The guy who does the rapping and stuff.
Mike Shinoda? No, I think he's still in the band.
He's still there?
I don't think he's as I don't think he takes the lead as often as he used to, but yeah, he's still in there.
Huh, that's cool. Yeah, because I've liked some of their newer stuff. Obviously not as much as the very first one, but the stuff that they've done for the Transformers movie and other things like that were all really
cool. Which was featured in another one of my YouTube videos.
Nice.
You guys remember Got Wark?
No.
No.
Ah, what?
Oh, wait, yes. Of course I do.
TJ Got Wark was featured on Screwtack's website in the heyday.
Oh, really?
Back literally around the time that I met you at Iron Man of Gaming.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man. All right. You got some videos to watch after this podcast, sir.
I do. Oh, and you know what? Speaking of that, Iron Man of Gaming, my video of the Angry Video Game Nerd playing Silver Surfer live, while I'm filming it, you're sitting right in front of me the whole time. I was hey, that's Ryan. I saw it the other day. Whoa, what do you know?
That's awesome.
And that video has 140,000 views or something. It's crazy.
I'm glad to be blocking the view for 140,000 people.
You were sitting right by his wife. So.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So, okay. But I think getting off, not really off topic, but I think these tangents and stuff, I think it's cool. So yeah, but continue on with your
so let's just say when I'm playing Rock Band and I select the 2000s, I'll usually like one of the songs. So, and I'm a guy who has a lot of Rock Band songs.
Oh, me too.
All right, and finally, of course, for 2010s, the only one left is television. maybe slightly cheating because I don't know the exact criteria, but both Breaking Bad, no, but only Breaking Bad started in 2008, but then Game of Thrones started in 2011, and Rick and Morty started in 2015, 2014. Those are probably some of my three favorite shows, and Community, I would say.
Okay.
So just television has been a lot better the past 10-ish years than I think it ever has been in the history of humanity. So even though it doesn't quite encompass everything there, I think this last 2010s decade encompasses the most of wonderful television.
Yeah, I feel like this is the decade where they really started taking television seriously and realizing, like, hey, shows can be as good as movies, if not better.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, this is the one category where you still get some surprises left. You still have a good 2.5 years left of content that you'll get. So,
yeah, this is kind of the golden age of television. It's gotten to the point where there's a lot of shows that I would watch over movies. Like, I don't really sit down at home nearly as much to watch movies anymore.
I'm having a hard time keeping up with movies. If I don't see it like in theaters, like on opening week, so to speak, like it just passes me by. I'm noticing like there's just movies that have come out like on video or at the Redbox. So I'm just like, oh, I need to see that, but like I never sit down to watch them.
Nice.
Yeah, and then usually, like, I know, at least speaking for myself, if I ever turn on Netflix, I end up turning on something that I've seen like a million times before and that I love, just because I know I don't really have to give it my full attention. So,
see, when I sit down to watch anything, I'm like, okay, do I want to watch something quick that's 20 minutes-ish long? Do I want to spend a little bit more time, watch 40-ish minutes episode? But if I'm going to sit down and watch a 2.5 hour movie, like I tend to just want to play video games instead. So
It's true.
All right.
So that's it for me. Who's next?
I'm good, or TJ can go.
Oh, it's up to you, Trent. Whichever one you want.
I'll go ahead and go. So, 80s for me is going to be music.
Interesting. Very interesting.
80s music. I have an 80s music playlist on my Pandora and on my Spotify. I love me some Whitney Houston, Flashdance, just any kind of like upbeat 80s music is my jam. Whenever I need to feel like motivated at work or like, do something I don't really feel like doing, that's the kind of music I listen to. So there's that. 90s. See, this one was hard. There are so many formative television shows that I rewatch on a regular basis that were both in the 90s and in the 2000s. And so I was like, well, do I want to be able to watch the endings of all of these shows or the beginning? And so then this was like Charmed, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Star Trek Voyager, just like all the shows from that era all were like late 90s to early 2000s. And so I'm like, oh, this is so hard. So,
it's not an easy game.
I decided to take 90s with movies.
Okay.
And so that gives me...
I'm jealous of your Jurassic Park.
Right? So it gives me things like The Craft, which I love, Titanic, Matrix, Jurassic Park, all those like great like 90s movies. So I went TV with the 2000s. So I figured all my favorite shows usually end stronger than they begin, Charmed being one of the exceptions to that. But like the final few seasons of Buffy are much better than the first season, so I feel like that's a win. Let's see. And then most of the games that I play are really current. So I had to do 2010s for video games because I love like not only all the games that came out in the past couple of years that I'm playing right now, like The Witcher and like Mordor and all those games, but I think all the new indie games that are out right now are all really super exciting, like RimWorld and Ark and all these other games. So that is my list.
Yeah, because if you put games anywhere before the 2010s, you're not really getting anything in the indie scene.
It's true.
And there's a lot of great indie games.
Yeah. Stardew Valley, I would be sad to live without. So yeah, it's good stuff.
And see, I kind of wonder, as far as like 3D gaming goes, I was thinking about this the other day. There's a lot of people that say like their favorite, if they had to pick their favorite Mario game, like #1 Mario game, there's more people than I would have thought say Mario 64. And don't get me wrong, I think like at the time Mario 64 was a incredible game, groundbreaking game, and it's not a bad game today, but I really don't think that game holds up as well as most people think it does. I don't know if you guys would agree with me or not.
I agree and disagree. It's probably my number 3 favorite Mario game ever, but it's still it's like a comfort food to me. Like every now and then I'll pop in Super Mario 64 and just like get like 10 stars in the first like 3 or 4 levels down there on the first floor and just like feel really, really happy. But I honestly did the exact same thing with Super Mario 3 and Super Mario World. So even though it doesn't quite maybe hold up as well, I still think the groundbreakingness of it gives it a little bit of credit. I think one that is a better example of that is GoldenEye, something that was extremely groundbreaking and really, really fun at the time, but it is really hard to go back and play that nowadays.
Yeah, I think GoldenEye might be like the best example of that, because it is nothing like anyone remembers it to be. Like nothing. Yeah. So
I really wish I could have given it a good, not remake, but like a remaster, like the Xbox 360 Perfect Dark remaster, because that remaster was so well done. I mean, it was just like a resolution update, and then they just enhanced it with features like just better controls and Xbox Live multiplayer and stuff like that. And so it's basically the perfect version of Perfect Dark. But it's one that can be played with modern standards, because they gave it modern controls and actually made it so it worked well with modern controls.
Well, then you'll be very sad to hear that I heard a little bird told me that they actually finished that version of GoldenEye, like fully playable.
They did.
Completed.
There's YouTube footage of it.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, well, yeah, it was done, and I don't think they could get the license from Nintendo. I don't think Nintendo would let them, so.
Yeah, it was a cluster of rights, because either EA or Activision at the time, I think it was Activision, owned the rights to James Bond games. Nintendo was publisher on GoldenEye, and then it was developed by Rare, who was currently a Microsoft studio.
Yeah.
So it's just a cluster of rights, and so unfortunately, we'll probably never get to see that game.
Well, even look at Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark had 3 of the multiplayer levels from GoldenEye, and like they could do that, but they couldn't use the names. Like a facility was called Felicity.
Yep.
And I forget what the other 2 were, but yeah, they couldn't even do that, and that came out like not that long after GoldenEye, and they still couldn't do it. So. But let me ask you this. So I'm kind of glad you brought up that Perfect Dark, like re-release or HD remaster, or whatever you'd want to call it. It was awesome when it came out, but how often did you go back and play it?
Honestly, not very often.
Yeah, same here.
But that being said, I still consider it one of the best shooters of all time, because as great as GoldenEye was, even when Perfect Dark came out, I was like, this is 10 times better than GoldenEye. Yeah. Still, it took everything GoldenEye was and perfected it, in my opinion. And so Trent, we were even roommates when it came out. I was super excited and played it like a ton for like the first few weeks or so, until I, completed everything I had to complete. But, kind of your point, TJ, I was in a different world then and different world now. Back when it came out, I was a preteen or young teen. And so playing that with all my friends, local multiplayer was, amazing. I don't think I knew anybody else. Maybe you now, but we definitely didn't play it together. But I don't think I knew anyone else who got Perfect Dark on Xbox 360. So it was just me playing the single player and me versus bots and multiplayer, just me trying to play on the Xbox Live. So not quite the same experience.
It's funny you say that too, because that might have been the first game that really made me realize, like, wow, video games are a lot different for me now than they were before, like with my adult life. Yeah. Like you can't play them. You can't just get together with people like you used to. And I know that game had online and stuff, but even that, it's not the same as, being in a room full of people, having a good time and stuff playing. But yeah, that might have been the first game where I was like, wow. Because I thought when that game was coming out, I was like, I'm going to play this all the time, like nonstop. Like my friends and I were always going to play this. And we played it for about a week or 2 and then just never really went back to it.
And something I've thought about a lot recently, not to go off on a tangent, and Trent can attest to this. I don't think there's what?
What? Who?
I didn't hear you. I don't think there's a single game. I don't want to say franchise because, like, obviously there's a bunch of Zelda games, but I don't think there's a single game that I've put more hours into than like Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, so to speak. Like,
Oh, okay.
I would literally get home from school, college, and I would hop online, and I had 3 friends, and we played Left 4 Dead probably 6 nights a week. Not even joking.
Yeah,
for probably about 4 to 5 hours a night.
It was
wow.
It was a little ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie.
Like, I would hop on and I'd play it, and then Left 4 Dead 2 came out, and we moved right over Left 4 Dead 2, and we probably played that for another year or two. Same thing. We'd try to get all the achievements, which were extremely difficult in those games, and then we just mastered the versus mode, which is really, really fun. Super fun to this day. And, a lot of people are like, oh, man, I want Left 4 Dead 3. I want Left 4 Dead 3. And to be fair, I would really like Left 4 Dead 3 as well, but I just know, like, it wouldn't, just because of the way where I am in my life, it wouldn't come close to capturing the magic that Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 had for me.
So you don't think they could pull it off again?
No, I think they could. I just think I'm in a different place.
Oh, sure.
So
I think I kind of feel that way about the Time Splitter series because my friends and I played Time Splitters 2.
I freaking love Time Splitters.
A ton, yeah. And it was basically like an updated, like GoldenEye Perfect Dark, had the same control style and everything. And, people have been clamoring for Time Splitters 3. They want a new one. Or, well, technically it would be 4. Yeah. But, they want a new one. Perfect. But if they released it, I don't know. And even if they re-released like Time Splitters 2, like remastered or Future Perfect remastered, I don't think the magic would be there anymore for us.
Yeah, probably not. Though 3's story was really well done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind playing that again.
I'm just sitting here like I've never heard of this game.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
But yeah,
have you seen Shaun of the Dead, Trent?
Yeah.
It's the game that they're playing in that movie.
Oh, nice.
So now you know everything about it.
That's all I need to know.
I've never seen that movie. Like, oh, it's Time Splitters. Nobody knows about Time Splitters. It seemed kind of like a very niche game, even when it came out.
It did. I just remember I was so happy that it actually came to GameCube.
Yep. I got 2 on GameCube, but 3 on the Xbox since it had Xbox Live.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, Trent, I really liked your list. Music for 80s. That one caught me off guard, but like in a good way, because
back in black.
There's just so many good. I was sitting here thinking that just since I said it, like the Eurythmics, like Michael Jackson, Madonna, like there's just so many good 80s. Like I could, that whole decade could just keep me happy music wise forever. So
yeah, and so like getting to my list, as much as I love all 4 of these categories, music was the one that was the hardest for me to place. Because like I was I guess technically I still am a musician, but like I used to have a band and stuff, and that was like one of like my favorite things I've ever done, and just music was so influential to me. And it's like you were talking about earlier, just being able to turn on songs that you felt like you could really relate to, like nothing else can really do that. So music played and plays a very important part in my life, but that was the hardest for me to place. But I guess I'll do my list. So all right, so for 80s, I picked movies. When you said movies for 80s, Ryan, I was like, oh no, are we going to have the same list?
High five.
Yeah, but I love 80s movies so much. Just like you, Ryan, some of my favorite movies are from the 80s, like Big Trouble in Little China. The Goonies is my favorite movie of all time. Pee-wee's Big Adventure, I think, is still one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. Just so many classic movies. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I could not give those up. For 90s, I went with TV. Out of all 4 of these categories, TV is probably the least important to me, but it still does play a big part in my life. And I'm a huge, as you guys know, I'm very nostalgic, and I'm a huge 90s, right? 90s Nickelodeon fan. If you just gave me all of the 90s Nickelodeon shows, the game shows, the cartoons, the live action shows, if that was all I could ever watch for the rest of my life.
You and I are on the same wavelength. Even though I went with the 2000s for shows, man, like I freaking dig 90s Nickelodeon like nobody's business.
Was Legend of the Hidden Temple one of those?
Yep.
Oh, it was.
I freaking love that show.
Do you know that last year, or no, it might have been earlier this year, they made a Legends of the Hidden Temple movie? Like, it was on Nickelodeon.
Oh, I heard the movie's being made, but I didn't know it came out already.
Yeah, it came out, and surprisingly, it's not really bad. And like Kirk Fogg, the host, like he plays a big role in it. So, and like they dive into the lore of Legends of the Hidden Temple, like with Olmec and stuff. It was way more interesting than it had any right to be. Not to say it's like a great movie, but if you're a fan of the show, it's worth checking out.
I love the fact they're bringing Hey Arnold and Rocco back for some specials.
Yes, and they both look great. The previews they showed at Comic-Con looked excellent.
Yeah.
So this might be a topic for a whole other podcast or a whole other section, but like, I'm starting to feel like we're getting a bit over nostalgia happy.
Yeah, I could see that, and I think you're right. I think this would be a good topic for another show. I think we should, because we could talk about this for a while. I think we should definitely take note of that and talk about that next time. I think we could have a really good discussion about that.
Sounds good.
Because I agree.
It makes me happy.
And I think it's because like our generation, like we're the adults now, so like we're running the show, and that's why all this stuff is coming back. But yeah,
and don't get me wrong, like I freaking love Stranger Things, and I'm excited for Ready Player One and all these other things. But at the same time, I'm worried we're gonna get too far into it.
Well, would you consider Stranger Things more nostalgic? Because I think, even though it kind of has echoes of the 80s in it, and it's obviously its setting, it's a very original story.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some 80s references that they very clearly drew from. But especially with the new series, like with the touching the slime on the trees, very Ghostbusters, they're wearing the Ghostbusters uniform. Like it's all very kind of on the nose. I'm not saying it's unoriginal. I'm just saying that like how far into it are we going to be like, I got that nostalgia reference. Oh, is that an Atari? Oh, that's oh wait, the scene's still going. I should be paying attention. Like,
yeah. Well, and it's funny too because when we were younger, I think we can all remember our parents or like relatives saying like, "Oh, you kids nowadays, back in my day, we didn't have this, we had this," and I always laughed at that. But now that I'm getting older, I see what kids have now, and I'm like, "Oh, I miss the days when I was a kid. Things were so much better."
I had the weirdest moment with that the other day. My nephew, my youngest nephew, is apparently obsessed with Power Rangers now, like the TV shows as well as the movie. And they turned on an episode of, I think, Dino Thunder ? And it's one of the ones where they like kind of redid the original Power Rangers theme song, and like he's singing it and like kicking and he's so cute. He's like 2 or 3 years old. He's like half singing this Power Rangers song, but I'm like watching this and like the production values are super high, and like there's explosions everywhere, and I'm like, we were happy with like sparks coming off the uniforms and like super low. I was like, man, this is so much cooler than when I was a kid. Like,
yeah. And just like the robots, like the Zords in the suits, like I still love those suits, like that Megazord suit and the Dragon Zord, so cool.
Yeah, and it was just like, and whenever like our people morphed, suddenly they were in like a different part of the city because like the footage never lined up, and like.
One of my favorite little mistakes in the original Power Rangers series, I forget exactly which episode it is, but you can look this up online. It's very easy to find. The Megazord is fighting one of the giant monsters. It grew, so it's huge, and it's like, destroying the city. And there's one shot where they cut to that monster, and there is a little Asian boy standing behind him, which means this boy is gigantic. And it's like, I don't know where that came from, so I had to look it up. I guess the episode that aired in Japan, the storyline was very different. This kid was like a bad kid, and the monster like came so the kid could like wreak havoc with the monster. So Rita made the kid grow too, but clearly that was cut from the American one. But they left that one snippet of a little boy hiding behind this monster, and he's huge. That's amazing. I thought it was the funniest thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that I was comforted to notice is that the acting quality of Power Rangers is still at the exact same level that it's always been.
Yeah.
And the kids don't care. Like it doesn't matter. So
Well, let me ask you guys this: did you notice, like, the movie came out? I think we all like thought the movie was good, right?
yeah,
I think
it was fun.
yeah,
Yeah,
we enjoyed
definitely.
it. Yeah, but it doesn't seem like kids nowadays. Like, I noticed what you're talking about, Trent. I feel like I see a lot of kids watching the old Power Rangers shows, but I don't see any kids talking about the new movie. It's almost like the new movie just sparked interest in the old stuff, but not in the movie stuff. Have you guys noticed that? Do you feel that way?
I don't think I really have a finger on the Power Ranger pulse anymore, so I don't have much to comment on.
Well, I mean, do you ever see kids wearing like the Power Rangers of the movie, like the new stuff? Do you ever see them wearing like clothes, or do you ever even see like any kids playing with those toys or anything when you're out in public? Like, I never see any of that.
Not true. It's mostly older stuff from what I can see.
Yeah, I think part of it is that the movie seemed aimed more for adults than it was for kids. My nephew saw it and loved it, even though he's like 3. But like his mom doesn't really want him to see it a lot more often for a few years, just because of like, it's a little bit more realistic and scary and stuff.
Yeah.
While he seems to love it, she just wants to make sure that he, handles it well or whatever. But yeah, I haven't seen a ton of stuff with the toys for the new one.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, and plus the movie, they're only Power Rangers for like 15 minutes, the whole movie.
Yeah, that was really disappointing.
Yeah, that was definitely the
like,
disappointing part.
I don't know if we want to do a Power Rangers like spoiler cast or anything, but like they also didn't fight Rita at all, except with their Zords.
No.
It was
No, they didn't.
But
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I liked it. That's a movie I do want to see again, just to see if I still like it as much as I did the first time.
yeah.
But
I want to see a sequel, which I don't know if they're going to make because it wasn't very successful. But like, I would love to see a Power Rangers movie of that quality without an hour and a half of setup.
Yeah.
Like, I think that'd be amazing.
It's the perfect example of one of those movies where, okay, it's set up, the sequel could be awesome.
Yeah.
But it's sad that it'll probably never get one. So
yep. I'm glad superhero movies are finally learning that.
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of another tangent because Jude. Another tangent, but just on that note, the Emoji Movie came out and it bombed, and that made me so happy.
What movie?
The Emoji
movie.
Oh yeah. I tell you what. Did you know what bombed a lot harder?
What?
Narrating.
Oh yeah. But
I was so sad. I haven't seen it yet, but.
Well, I was as dumb as it sounds. I was kind of worried about the Emoji Movie because it was obviously such low effort, and if it like did really well at the box office, it would send a message to Hollywood being like, okay, we don't have to try, and dumb kids will see anything, sort of thing,
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's dumb kids will see anything. I think it's dumb parents will take their kids to see anything.
True. Yeah.
Kids aren't going by themselves.
So I much rather have well-made, family films than the Emoji Movie. So
I just remember when I was younger, like, there'd be movies, like kids' movies that would come out, and I'd be like, Mom, Dad, can we go see it? And they're like, no. Like, you can rent it when it comes out, but we're not sitting in the theater watching that.
Yeah, I really want to see the Popper, or not the Penguin, the Pebble the Penguin.
I remember when the original Power Rangers movie came out with Ivan Ooze and all that. And I really wanted to go see it because I was a huge Power Rangers fan. And I think I probably was like 3rd or 4th grade or something like that. And my grandmother was visiting at the time, and she was so mad at my parents for letting me watch these violent shows. And she's like, "You shouldn't watch that. That's bad for your brain. It's going to turn you into a serial killer." And I'm like, "Thanks, Grandma." They're really cool. Like, they're superheroes.
And look at that. She was right.
Yep. I'm a serial killer.
And I mean cereal, like the cereal you eat for breakfast.
Yep,
I am
Fruit Loops on a daily basis.
Yeah, I am also... 2 movies I saw in theaters as a kid where my parents weren't with me were the Power Rangers movie and the Pokemon movie, where my parents just dropped me off and were like, "All right, see ya."
That was the coolest thing. That was the coolest thing about being the youngest and having a sister that's 9 years older than you. She took me to see The Matrix and like Batman, two of the Batman movies and stuff that my parents like didn't really want us to see at the time. And I was like, Lori, can we go see this? She's like, sure.
There you go.
That's awesome. My sister took me to see Operation Dumbo Drop.
Nice.
Yep.
Some hard
But all
stuff
right,
right there.
so to finish off my list here, for the 2000s, I went with games. And I don't know if I've ever said it on the show, but the GameCube is my favorite console of all time. I remember that's when it was kind of tough to be a diehard Nintendo fan, especially with like the Xbox coming out and everything. But then I feel like a lot of the GameCube exclusives that did come out there's so many games where it was like, yes, look what I have, and the other consoles don't. So there were just a lot of good, like great games that really made you feel proud to like own a GameCube.
Like Geist.
Like Geist, yep.
I freaking loved Geist.
Yeah, I enjoyed Geist. I really did. But probably wouldn't recommend it to anyone. But yeah, I did enjoy it.
It probably has not aged well.
No, I'm sure it hasn't. But yeah, so I mean, there's so many other great games. I mean, NES, Super Nintendo, N64. I mean, some of my best gaming days were with those consoles. But I love the GameCube. I think it goes back to what we were talking about before, where like the time in your life when you had that, and it was like the age I was when the GameCube was out was perfect because my friends and I would get together a lot and play a lot of multiplayer games and stuff. So there was no need for online gaming at the time. It's just, I miss those days. And yeah.
Not to poop all over the GameCube because I don't want to because I love the GameCube.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
my only questions are like, what kind of games did you play that you felt had multiplayer games specifically that were a superior experience to that on the N64? Because it's just my opinion that like the Wave Race game was better on N64. Mario 64 was better than Double Dash. The Mario Party 1, 2, and 3 were better than the GameCube ones. F-Zero X was better than F-Zero GX. Just in my opinion, do you agree with that? Or
Oh, sure. No, I mean, I feel like it goes back to what we were saying, just with like us being in that age group, because like Double Dash, I haven't played Double Dash in years, but I know when that came out, like my friends and I played the hell out of it. Especially like my buddy Dan, like that had the 2-player like Grand Prix races where you could still unlock stuff. So we would play that all the time. I remember like fighting games like the Naruto games, like we imported those that were only on GameCube. Those we put countless hours into those. That's probably the most I've ever played a fighting game outside of Smash Brothers. And then like Def Jam Fight for New York, which I think is one of the greatest games ever made, one of the best fighting games of all time. I know that was on other consoles, but like we played that all the time. So yeah, there were superior versions of some of those games, but I don't think that means the GameCube versions were bad.
Oh, definitely not.
So I think it was more of a timing thing. I mean, I played a lot of N64 multiplayer, but I was still a bit younger then, so it was harder to get together with friends. Whereas the GameCube, it's like, okay, we're teenagers, we're driving, we can get together whenever we want now and play these games. So, yeah, but I really love it.
Yeah, because, I mean, I probably was like, 12, 13 during the N64's, prime.
Yeah.
So that was the ultimate hangout with friends time. So.
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember we would have parties at school where it's like the last period or like the last 2 periods. Every once in like a blue moon, it would be like a party. And then, they'd like order pizza and stuff and we could hang out. But my teachers actually let us bring our N64s to school. And that was like the best time at school ever. Because it's like, we're in school and we're playing video games. This is great. Mm-hmm. And everyone brought their controllers and stuff. It was awesome. So.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. But yeah, so then I guess my last choice, 2010s, was music. So there's a lot of music I know I'm missing out on, but I'm probably not a fan of as much music nowadays as I was like maybe the 2000s. I got into music very late. I don't think I really started listening to music until like freshman year of high school. Like before that, I never like listened to music ever. My first CD was like was Sugar Ray's 1459. So yeah, that shows you how late to the game I was. But I remember like when I got into music, it like completely changed my life. Like music videos and stuff like that. That's like gave me ideas for like what to wear and stuff. I started a band and everything. So, but Yeah, I guess in 2010 though, there's still a lot of great music nowadays, and I feel like there's enough now to still get by without having access to that older stuff. So, but that was still very hard to place. I would miss a lot of the music though.
Yeah, it was easiest for me to place the music just because I think I'd be really happy with any decade of music. Like I was thinking about it. There's really good stuff from the '90s. There's like some of my pop punk angsty music was all from the 2000s. But yeah, so I had to basically just kind of weigh it versus everything else. So it's interesting. I don't know that I would have put music in this current category because like I'd be okay with having the music from this decade, but
Yeah.
like I don't know, there's nothing really super exciting about like what's left to come for this decade, but I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like this category just keeps leading back to the whole timing thing. Like I remember, like high school and then like, college years and stuff like that, I would have music playing all the time. And even movies, I would constantly be playing movies. I'd stay up really late and just movies would always be playing. But now, like, I don't really listen to music as often as I did before. So and now I listen to a lot of podcasts. Like when I have time to listen to something, or when I'm doing something, I could have something playing in the background. It's usually a podcast that I listen to. It's not that I don't like music anymore, but yeah, just different interests now, different priorities.
It is interesting. I definitely listen to a lot more podcasts and audiobooks than I used to. So my music listening has gone down. But if I'm ever like cleaning or working out or at work and need some motivation and stuff, it's like music is just always a really good go-to.
Oh yeah.
For that. So I still get plenty of, because every now and then, like if you're listening to a podcast and you're tired and you're at work and you're just like, it's like, man, I'm gonna fall asleep if I don't listen to something a little bit more exciting than this podcast right now.
Yeah.
Wonder how bad of a nerd I am?
No.
So over the past, okay.
No, go ahead. I already know. This is not going to be shocking, but
I love how if you don't say it, the listeners will be like, "What was he going to say?"
Over the past few months, I've kind of done a project, so to speak, to where, I literally have a Google Doc spreadsheet of every physical copy video game I own.
Wow.
And I've been going through all of them one by one and listening to the soundtrack of that game. And then
this took a turn. I wasn't expecting that.
Oh, okay. And then when I really liked a song, I would save it and then throw it up on my Google Play. And so now I have a 3,000 song, and I just finished literally on Friday. Like I finished up with my Steam library on Friday. And so I now have a 3,000 song playlist in my Google Play of just all my favorite video game songs from literally every video game I've ever played.
Oh my gosh, I would love to have that.
So I just put that on shuffle and just have that going while I'm working. Because video game music is also just really, really good background music. Because I read an article once that video game music most of the time, this is a more cinematic game, but video game music is made to help enhance your focus and not be a distraction to what you're doing, so to speak. And so it's really, really good to have on while you're working for the most part.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Interesting.
So yeah, I just have that 3,000 song playlist on shuffle whenever I work now. So
did you say it's just the physical copies of the games, or like your Steam library and stuff too?
Well, I went through the Excel or the Google Doc spreadsheet of all my physical games, but then I went through my Steam library and did the same thing there, just because I could do that from anywhere. But
that's cool. So I imagine there's some Ori and the Blind Forest music in there.
Pretty much the whole soundtrack, yeah.
Okay, good. Like
one does not simply listen to a song and be like, I don't love this.
Right? Have you played Ori, TJ?
No, I really need to get around to that.
It is seriously wonderful.
My heart.
It was my game of the year 2015.
Ryan would not shut up about that game to me until I played it. And it's one of the best things he's ever made me do. So
how long is it, would you say?
It depends on how much of a completionist you are.
Like 5-7 hours. It's a Metroidvania.
Let me
okay.
Let me pull up my because I've only played it through once before the definitive edition came out, so it'd be a little bit longer now because they've added some extra areas. But I have 24 hours total, and I went back and tried to gather literally everything that I could.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll have to keep an eye out for a sale. So, because I have an Xbox One, it doesn't really get much use, but I would turn it on for that.
All right, so according to howlongtobeat.com, main story is 8 hours, main story plus extra is 10 hours, completionist is 11.
So apparently I either really suck or just enjoyed some of the... I mean, because a lot of it's very atmospheric. The design is beautiful. The music is great. There were moments that I would just sit there and listen to the music and just enjoy the moment because it's so well done and so well crafted.
It was a game that I woke up... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
This is a game that I literally slept in on a Saturday, around 10, and then I had recently purchased it, and I'd heard a lot about it too. It was probably maybe 9 months after it came out, and then I had some breakfast and I sat down to play it, and I beat it in that day. I stopped once to eat, and then I just went back and played it, and by the evening time I was done because it was literally one of those games I just did not want to put down.
Huh.
And it was only one of 2 games that had an emotional reaction out of me during this past E3 when they announced the second one.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, I'll definitely... Because you guys aren't the first to suggest it, but, I mean, you guys are selling it pretty good, so...
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, cool.
Highly recommend it.
All right. Well, that is the Decades game.
The Decades game! That was a good game.
That was a good game.
Thank you. Yeah, that was fun.
Good idea. All right, so let's get into what we've been playing, what we've been watching. Trent, why don't you kick us off?
So, lots of the same for me. I've been playing a lot of Fortnite. Ryan and I finally got a chance to play together the other night, which was super fun. I've been playing a lot of RimWorld. I've been playing through a Star Wars mod of RimWorld, which was just incredibly nerdy, but wonderful. And then just some Pokemon here and there. Again, Sun and Moon, still trying to get through that game. But
before the sequels come out. Are you going to get either of those? Do you think?
I don't know if I'm going to get the sequels. I'm definitely getting the Switch one when it comes out eventually.
Yeah,
But
okay.
it depends on how much of the story is continued and how many changes they make. If it's a Black 2 or White 2 where it's completely different, and just very much a sequel, then yeah, I'll probably get it.
Yeah, they've been pretty vague so far.
Yeah. So I'll probably wait for the reviews to come out and then make my decision after that.
Cool.
Yeah. So how about you, TJ? What are you playing?
I am playing a lot of new Nintendo stuff. Like I mentioned before, I'm in the process, was in the process of moving. So portable games have been the way to go. But yeah, I've been playing a lot of Splatoon 2. I was a big fan of Splatoon 1, and a lot of what they showed for Splatoon 2 just made it seem like almost more of an expansion than a full-blown sequel. But after playing it, it's definitely a full-blown sequel. There's a ridiculous amount of content in it. The new modes that they added are awesome. The single-player campaign has been great so far. But one mode, I mean, there's a lot I could say about the game, but one mode I want to mention is Salmon Run. Did you guys see anything on that Salmon Run? Any of the videos or anything of it? It's basically Splatoon 2's Horde mode. Have you guys seen it?
No.
So it's a brand new mode. 4 people co-op, online and everything. You are working together to fight off hordes of these evil salmon that come up out of the water, and they're trying to kill you. And you have to kill them to get their eggs, and then boss characters appear, and when you kill them, they drop 3 golden eggs, and you have to pick those up and then swim and get them back to your basket. And you have a time limit and a quota, and if you don't meet that quota before the time limit ends, then you lose. And if everyone dies at the same time, or if everyone's dead at the same time, you also lose. If you die, you turn into a little floaty device, and you can call for help, and all you have to do is one of your teammates has to shoot you with ink, and then you come back to life. It gets really hectic and crazy, and it's borderline scary because the enemies that they have are not really cute and fun looking. They're really creepy looking. And it's just really intense and hectic. The map changes, like the tide rolls in, so the map gets a lot smaller for some of the waves. And it's just a mode that I want everyone to know about, because if they sold that mode by itself, I still think it would warrant the purchase. It's probably the best horde mode I've ever played in a game. Not counting like Left 4 Dead, because that's not really horde mode, that's the whole game. So, and I know you love it, so I don't want you to be like, well, what about Left 4 Dead?
No, it's fine. I really want to play Splatoon 2, but I just feel bad. Not really feel bad. It's a dumb thing to say. But I bought Splatoon 1 like when it first came out because everyone was talking about how great it was. And I'm like, yeah. And so I bought it. But then like I think I was playing something else at the time. And then something else came out. And it just went by the wayside. It is literally sitting on my shelf, shrink wrapped still. And so like I couldn't bring myself to play 2 until I like at least played through the campaign and got a little bit of multiplayer in 1 done. So I could like, okay, now it's on to go on to the second one. And so
I can honestly say, I mean, there's definitely interesting lore in Splatoon, like just in the series as a whole, but the only story bits that you get from the campaign in the first game are these hidden scrolls that you can find. So like as you're going through the campaign, they're not really like explaining the story and stuff like that. You kind of have to go out of your way. So I think if you just forgot about Splatoon 1 and jumped to the sequel, you wouldn't really be missing out on anything. I think it's a good like starting point.
I also kind of just want to justify my purchase too and make sure I like the gameplay too before I just spend another $60 on a Splatoon game.
No, that's true. So, that's true.
So
but yeah,
I make an effort to put it in and try it here at some point soon.
Yeah, it's awesome. Like I knew I was gonna like it, but I like it way more, and that's like all I've really been playing. Except for this past Friday, 2 3DS games came out that I was looking forward to. So the 3DS is not dead yet. Miitopia and Hey Pikmin.
I'm not dead yet.
Well, I've actually been seeing a lot of previews recently for the new, is it the 2DS XL or something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, so they're very much still actively supporting that line.
They are, and they even just announced today, I think in like the end of August, they're doing a 2DS, like the regular 2DS. It's Nintendo, so of course it's really confusing. Right. Like a 2DS with New Super Mario Brothers 2 like bundled in for like $80. Wow. And the 2DS plays all the 3DS games and DS games, so it's just a different form factor. Wow. So yeah, they're still hanging on to it, but it still has some fight left in it. We got Metroid coming out in September, so I know everyone's really excited about that.
Ryan's excited.
I'm probably gonna buy it. I'll be honest.
Got to dust off my 3DS. Didn't know if I'd be busting it out again. Though I have to go on another tangent. I was really, really mad this week. You guys may have saw my Facebook post about it, but not really. I wasn't mad at my Facebook post, but I know I let someone borrow A Link Between Worlds.
I did see that.
And I was like, it was when I was going through and doing that music lesson thing, because I was actually getting to the end of it. And on my list, I didn't have Link Between Worlds on there. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. I know I have it. And so I guess I just may have forgot to add it to my Excel sheet at some point. But I happened to be sitting on my couch that one time, and I was like, okay, well, let's make sure I'm not missing anything else. And I started looking through my 3DS games, and I was like, oh, wait, where's Link Between Worlds? And I'm like, okay, I distinctly remember like someone being at my house and then saying like, have there been any like good Zelda games in the past like 10 years, something like that? I'm like, yes, Link Between Worlds is debatably one of the best Zelda games
in the last 10 years.
Well, because I think besides Link Between Worlds and then debatably, Breath of the Wild, I don't think there has been a good Zelda game in the past 10 years. So, but
when was Wind Waker?
2003.
What? No.
Yep. Wind Waker 2003, Twilight Princess was 2006.
GameCube.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, okay, I have a tangent to follow this up. Let me know when you're done.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I remember being like really excited and then handing someone that game, like, you have a 3DS, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, play this. This is seriously one of the best Zelda games ever made. And, like, I remember being really excited for this person to play it. And I literally have no idea who that person was. And so not only that, I go online to find out, like, it's quote unquote hard to find A Link Between Worlds. Like, it's not rare, but I had to pay $45 for one.
Oh, you bought another one?
Yeah. Because nobody responded to my Facebook post about it, and I asked all of my closest friends that, I hang out with the most here, and none of them have it. And so I'm just like, well, I don't know. So, and I wanted to buy it before especially when I saw that it was harder to find, I wanted to buy it now before it got even worse. So.
Wow. Well, I am so horrible with borrowing stuff. When people let me borrow stuff, I don't lose it. I take very good care of it, but I just forget that I have it. And then like my good friends Ryan and Alyssa, I borrowed 3 of their movies like close to the time when I met them, and that was like 10 years ago at this point, and I still have them. And I've talked to them about it. Like, we kind of joke about it every once in a while, and they've just decided to buy the Blu-rays of those movies because they were DVDs. So they're like, yeah, so I guess we don't really need them back anymore.
And like, it's not the first time it's happened. I let someone borrow my Super Mario RPG as a teenager, and it was gone. It was gone forever.
Ooh.
Turns out that friend lent it to another friend who ended up selling it.
Oh, that's rough.
And so
that's like friendship ending,
right?
For me, right there.
So luckily I ended up working at a local video game shop in my late teen years, and so any game that came in, I was able to buy with a discount.
Yeah.
So I got another one, but I still remember just so. I need to stop lending stuff out to people. Is the moral of the story?
Yeah, I'm very weird about letting people borrow stuff like that.
Yeah.
I hate to be that way, but I just know how good I take care of stuff, and I know most people aren't like that. So,
like, I had a friend of mine. He's like, "Hey, can I borrow all your Guitar Hero guitars this weekend?" And I was just like, I was so fresh from Twin Worlds, but I was just like, no, that's not something I think about because it's in a box and I only break it out, at parties every now and then. And
yeah.
I know I won't think about that. And then one time people will be over like, "Hey, let's play Rock Band," and then I'll go to pull it out and I'll have no guitars and be like, crap.
And plus, that's kind of different because that's like a bunch of people getting their hands on them. It's not like, a game or a movie where they're just popping it in the system and then that's it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's not really something you really lend out. I don't know. Maybe people are listening going like, you're awful.
Pretty much.
No, I don't. Yeah, I have a hard time lending things to people. It's one of the reasons I go digital, because it's like, oh, sorry, I don't have a physical copy that I can lend to you.
Well, that's the thing. I was always so good. Like, anyone would ask about anything, I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And maybe it's because of the way I borrow things, TJ. I'm kind of the opposite of you. Like, when I'm borrowing someone's, like, game or movie, for example, I take care of it and be done with it as quickly as I possibly can, so it can be back in your hands as quickly as possible. Like, I hate, like, having something and then, like, not using it. So
yeah. I wish I was like that.
So I guess I naturally felt that others would be the same way, but then here I am out of a copy of Link Between Worlds and have no idea who has it.
Well, that stinks.
Yeah.
That stinks Between Worlds.
Jokes.
Anyway, what was your tangent, Trent? I'm curious.
Well, I brought it up before, but it's like, so as someone who every now and then gets the itch to play older games, I don't actually own the only Nintendo console that I own right now is the Switch. Because when I was a kid, I don't know if I've told the story before on the podcast, but when we were younger, my mom pulled out our regular NES and our Super Nintendo. I think this was when we had the 64, and she donated them to like a battered women's shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's one of those things where like you can't really feel bad about it because they went to a good cause and everything. And like I hope that they like sold it and used the money or something, because I don't know. But it's like, if someone were to want to go about attaining older consoles, I mean, is like eBay really the only option, or?
Well, local video game shops have a lot.
Well, it's funny too because GameStop actually deals with old hardware and games now. They started doing that again.
Really?
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, you can find that stuff even online, and I guess they test all the stuff before. So if you're ordering it online, but
because one of the things that I for sure want to do, maybe with like my next year's tax return money, is to get a Wii U and play Wind Waker and Twilight Princess for the first time.
Oh yeah, they did a good job with those remasters, especially Wind Waker.
Yeah, ditto.
So, yeah, I don't know. That's just something I've been thinking about a lot lately. So, I should probably think about it when I actually have money to buy one. But I'm worried about the Wii U because it's like it's still right on the cusp of like being available-ish. new and not like super expensive, but at the same time, like it would have to be like very like backdated, like stock. So
Yeah, yeah, they're still pretty pricey. I don't feel like they never had like an official like big price drop. So if you find them out there, they're still kind of expensive. I was in GameStop the other day and someone called in and I heard the guy talking to him. They were looking for like a Wii and he's like, "Well, we don't have any Wiis." He's like, "But a used Wii U is $200." And I'm
wow.
like, "Whoa." Holy cow, and it's probably just because of that gamepad. But then even that, you got to be careful, like how good a condition will the gamepad be in? That's the biggest concern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, so as far as those games, Miitopia and Hey Pikmin, I won't spend a lot of time on them. Miitopia, I've been like oddly addicted to. It's basically like a fairly straightforward RPG, but it uses all Miis. And I put a lot of time over the years into like making a lot of friends and family members. And then you could put them in the game. So it's like you have an RPG where you have a party of people, but they're people you know. And the game does a cool thing where if you don't want to make Miis, it pulls all the popular Miis off of like the internet database, and it will just put those characters, it'll fill the spots for you. So like, it's funny because like a lot of like the presidents and stuff are in there, but then there's like a quiz master that shows up every once in a while in the game, and it's Heath Ledger's Joker from The Dark Knight. And it's like the quizmaster now, and you can go in and you can change it if you want, but the stuff that happens, like there's a genie in the game, and I was like, I don't know who I'd want to make a genie, so I was like, let's just have it fill it in, and it was Jack Black. So I'm like, that's perfect. So now it's Jack Black the genie.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's really neat. Like the gameplay mechanics and stuff are kind of straightforward, but you get a lot of fun out of it, you know, when you put your friends and stuff in those scenarios and all that. So I'm really enjoying it, and it's way longer than I thought it would be. So yeah, it's a fun one.
Nice.
And then Hey Pikmin, I played a little bit of it today. I've been really addicted to Miitopia, but I wanted to play it before the show just so I could talk about it a little bit. I went through maybe about 6 or 7 levels. It's basically a side-scrolling Pikmin game. All the other Pikmin games were 3D. It's a side-scroller. It uses just the directional pad and the touch screen. You can throw the Pikmin and all that. Basic like platforming and puzzle solving. It's pretty good so far, but I'm a big Pikmin fan, and I'm enjoying it. So I don't know if I'd really recommend it to everyone at this point. I need to play a bit more, but yeah, it's definitely not bad so far.
Nice.
Yeah. So 3DS is not dead, once again.
Not yet. Not
Still
yet.
going.
All right. Well, I didn't play too much. So like Trent mentioned, I played Fortnite. I played a little bit more Destiny. I'm at level 23 right now, just wrapping up vanilla Destiny, about to enter the first expansion. Other than that, not much. I've been kind of lazy the past few days. Though I have been watching my girlfriend play some games. So we kind of playing through them together. One of them being the 2015 King's Quest game that came out. That's just kind of an adventure game, kind of in the classic style of the old King's Quest games.
Mm-hmm.
So we just finished that this week, and it was really good. Really enjoyed it.
Oh, so I know you mentioned that before the show, but you finished it, or she finished it?
Yes, just yesterday actually. So.
Oh, okay. So you'd recommend it based on what you saw? Okay, cool.
It's a good adventure game, kind of a good in between Telltale and like an older style. Like Telltale seems to be just a lot simpler nowadays. It's just kind of either watching cutscenes and QuickTime events and maybe walk here and push A kind of stuff. But King's Quest is a little bit more like pick up items and figure out which items to use in what situations and stuff like that. So not quite as crazy and obtuse as the old adventure games were.
Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to know to use this frog on this lamp?
Yeah.
So,
do you guys remember? Because I know we talked about this a little bit before the show, Ryan. But I played one of the old King's Quest games on a DOS computer.
Yeah.
Did you guys have DOS computers when you were younger?
Yep.
Or like a DOS computer, like a family computer? Do you remember when you played games on there? The only way to like what's the word I'm looking for? Like verify them or make sure they weren't bootleg was some of the games you had to type in. It would say like open the manual and flip to page 42 and what's like the 10th word on the page.
Oh yeah.
I remember having to do that with King's Quest, and one day I couldn't find the manual and I really wanted to play, so I just went through and I eventually got the word. I don't know how I got it, but I just remember as a kid, like, I was totally fine with doing that as a kid. I think I ended up spending more time guessing the word than I did actually playing. But I was like, oh, cool, I hacked it. I'm a hacker now.
That's how Hacker TJ was born.
I'm a hacker, guys.
So other than that, she's also been playing through Portal 1 and 2. She is almost done with Portal 2 at this point. So
That's who's playing Portal right now.
why have you been like seeing me online playing Portal or something?
Like, my Steam notification during the podcast popped up and it said that Riot is playing Portal. I'm like,
Sorry guys, I'm so bored with the podcast right now.
You are doing really well with multitasking.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even notice.
Whenever I think of Portal 2, that just reminds me of the horrible PlayStation 3 hack and how the PlayStation Network went down for months. Because Portal 2 and Mortal Kombat came out. It was Portal Kombat Day. And I bought those both on I usually bought everything on 360, but I bought those both on PS3 for some reason. I don't remember why. And then I remember just not being able to play them online. So I never played the multiplayer for Portal 2, and I heard it's incredible.
Oh, it is incredible. And I'm going to guess because Mortal Kombat, the PS3 had a better D-pad. So you wanted the better D-pad. And for Portal, it had, if you bought it on PS3, you got the Steam version for free. And you could even cross-play between PS3 and Steam.
I bet that's why I did that. Not that I had a computer that could play it, but I bet that's why I did. I think you're right.
Yeah, like there's a special promotion between Sony and Valve just for Portal 2 for some reason. You could play the multiplayer between them, and inside the PS3 physical copy, there was a Steam code to get it on Steam.
And Sony has learned nothing from that because now they're the only one that doesn't want to play nice with others.
Yep.
Which is really
and
funny.
I think I remember now I bought Mortal Kombat on PlayStation 3 because it had Kratos in it.
Oh, yeah.
And not that I'm like a Kratos fan, but I'm like, hey, anytime there's an exclusive character, like, why would I not want that? So, yeah.
Because I think I got Mortal Kombat on PS3 as well, when I also got everything on 360 at the time, just because the 360 D-pad is terrible.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All right. This is just an episode of tangents, but in the best way possible.
We'll see if we ever even get to any news this week.
Well, it's kind of good because it's a very slow news week. So.
It's true. There was not a whole lot.
All right, well, I'll kick us off to what I've been watching. Watched a few more episodes of Iron Fist. I'm about halfway through right now. I'm still not disliking it, so that's a pleasant surprise, unless it takes a turn for the worst and like Iron Fist, or not Iron Fist, like Luke Cage, and just really takes a dive the second half of the season. I'm okay with it right now, so that's good. I like it better than Luke Cage so far, so we'll see if that continues.
When I found out The Defenders is only 8 episodes, my immediate reaction was, what? Finally, like the series that, I've been waiting for, and it's only 8 episodes?
I thought the same thing.
But then I had to remind myself that I always complain that the Marvel shows are too many episodes. I always said they should be 8 to 10 episodes, so...
Yeah.
After Stranger Things, I am completely convinced that like 8 to 10 is the perfect length for a TV show.
I know, right?
Ditto.
Which I know I wasn't on the show last week, but I listened to it and I heard you talk about Stranger Things. I'm so happy that you watched it and loved it.
It's so good. I have a friend at work, 2 friends at work. One of them who really likes like kind of horror thriller type stuff, and one who's kind of on the fence. But I've been pitching it to them really hardcore this week. I'm like, you must watch this show.
That's cool. And that new trailer is just, oh my gosh. Trailer's so much better than I thought it could even be.
I watched it like 2 or 3 times today. It makes me so happy.
Yeah. But go on, Ryan.
Just watching more Bob's Burgers. That's my 20-minute, I'm just going to like get a quick bite to eat and watch something and then move on to something else kind of show. I also like it right now. Still watching Leftovers. I'm only a couple of episodes further than when I talked to you last, TJ.
Okay.
I'm not disliking it, but I'm finding it really hard for it to grab me, I guess. Okay. And I don't want to like go be super weird about it, but like I think it's like the cult in it. There's a few cults in it, and I just have a really hard time believing it, or just trying to empathize with the characters that are in the cult, so to speak.
You'll see. Just keep going. That's all I can. That's all I can say.
It's just hard for me right now, I guess I would say.
No, and remember, I said like season 1, it's very strange, but season 2, it's one of those shows where the second season makes you look at season 1 in a totally different way.
Yeah.
It makes season 1 better, and I know that's never good when it's like, oh, well, this show's really good, but you got to get through season 1 first. But trust me, it gets good. Like I know it's like because it's you got to commit to it and stuff. You got to put in that time, but
yeah.
I think if you haven't left it by now, I think it's worth it to keep going, and I think you'll really like season 2.
And I plan on it. I just feel guilty I'm not watching more.
Yeah, it's okay.
So, and again, like, you were the first person I'd heard it from, but literally, like, after you told me about it, I started hearing about it everywhere.
Oh, really?
Or just people talking about the end of it, because it was around that time that when you brought it up here on the podcast, the show was ending in a few weeks or something like that. And so I think I just heard that it was ending and it was one of the best shows ever. And I'm just like, I hadn't heard of this show at all until TJ mentioned it. So,
yeah, I remember seeing stuff about it online, both just from like HBO promotion and then just some of my pop culture websites and stuff. But I'll have to get into it at some point. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I would love to talk to you guys about it.
4 out of 10. Too many cults.
Too many cults.
No, just kidding.
Cults. Can never be too many cults.
So, I don't know. I mean, I won't go into any spoilers, but like just like the. Sorry, I'm really bad with names. So like the black guy cult with a bunch of wives, and like the son is protecting the one wife right now. Like I don't really feel for either of those characters. And
well,
then,
that's not really a cult, but okay.
Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah.
But then
the guilty remnant, the people in white, that's a cult.
Yeah, definitely. That's the other one. And so like in every scene with them, because Trent, they don't talk. They only like write on notepads and like show you.
The guilty remnant, the people that wear white, don't talk. Yeah.
And so like I find their scenes like infuriating because it's always like a main character talking to them and them either just like staring back at them smoking or like I'm just like so
that sounds really funny.
and they're all like kind of dicks so far. So
oh yeah.
Doesn't help matters either. So
yep.
But anywho. That's about it for me. So
sweet.
What about you, Trent?
Let's see.
What are you watching?
I've been watching a lot of surprise reality TV. So we got Big Brother, the challenge on MTV just started up. There's like 2 episodes into their Dirty 30 season is what they're calling it. It's where they bring back like supposedly like the dirtiest players of all time, people who have like betrayed or whatever. It's been interesting so far. And then I've been binge watching American Ninja Warrior since I fell behind on that one, and I just caught up today.
Cool.
So just pretty much been watching that. And I'll tell you what, like they have 2-hour episodes. Those are hard to get through. I'm just like sitting here and I'm like
2-hour episodes of that? Really?
Yeah. Well, it ends up being like 1:20 with all the commercials. So that like my version is only 1:20, but yeah, like I sit down and watch it and like I eat and then I finish eating and I'm like, wow, this thing's like halfway over. It's like, do I want to? So some of them I'll take in chunks and so I'll just like stop and come back because it's not really a TV show you have to watch like from beginning to end or anything. But it's a fun show. I enjoy it. It's a fun reality competition, tells like heartbreaking stories and it's very motivational. It makes me want to work out more. We'll see about that. But have you guys seen that show at all?
Nope.
Yeah, I've seen it here and there.
It's fun. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I was gonna wait. I finished all the qualifying rounds, and I was gonna wait and do all the city finals in one go. But I was just like didn't know what else to watch. I was feeling up to it, so I just started watching it again. So yeah, that's what I've been watching lately.
Now, Trent, I know Ryan always gives you a hard time about Big Brother, but I'm here now, so I think you can say that you watch it. I think it's a safe place now. We have Ryan outnumbered.
It's true. When I mentioned it in my list, but I'm actually an episode behind. I don't know what happened Sunday. Still, I need to watch that and Teen Wolf from yesterday because I watched Game of Thrones instead.
Well, we won't get into it here, but I would like to talk to you outside of the show. This is the first season I've seen where I feel like the producers are really controlling a lot of what's going on, and it's kind of driving me nuts. But I still like the show, though.
To do with Paul, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and the whole Cody thing and Jessica.
Yeah.
I just feel like they're pulling the strings in the background, making things happen, just throwing these weird rules and like curses and temptations out there that just can change everything that no one else has any control over. So, but we'll talk about that later. I know Ryan's falling asleep.
He's gonna make his snore noise any second now. There it is.
It's fine. You guys can love what you love.
We talked about the Survivor. Survivor's not that different from Big Brother.
No, it's really not.
It's fine.
In some aspects, I think Big Brother is better than Survivor.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's actually no way to go on an immunity run, so you have to have a good social game, or otherwise you'll get out.
That's right. That's a very good point.
So,
yeah. Well, as far as what I've been watching, I have not been watching a lot. Just been busy with a lot of stuff, so I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do. My wife and I go to the movies a lot, and we have not been to the movies in a few weeks. I still want to see Dunkirk. We're going to try and see that tomorrow. I still want to see The Big Sick. I wanted to see Valerian until I heard more about it, so I might just wait on that one. And I feel like there's something else that I wanted to see too.
Planet of the Apes?
Yes, Planet of the Apes. That's right. But I feel like at this point, I might just have to wait for that one. So.
Yeah, even with the reaction and the performance of Valerian, I still really want to see it because I feel like the biggest draw really is the cinematic spectacle of it, kind of like Avatar.
Yeah.
And so, like, I want to see it while it's still in theaters, but at the same time, like, maybe I just need to go like a Tuesday evening or something where it's cheaper, because like all the reviews I've read say that like that's the one redeeming quality, and it's like I'm not gonna watch it on my computer screen or my TV, which is tiny.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, see, I'm kind of worried because my brother-in-law, like, he loves Fifth Element, like, loves it, and he loves like all those sci-fi movies, like Blade Runner and stuff like that. And he said this is the first movie that he can even remember where he almost walked out halfway through it.
Oh wow!
Like, he hated it that much. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it's definitely going to be an awful movie. Maybe he just didn't care for it, but for him to be to feel that strongly about it, I'm like, oh, well, that's definitely not a good sign. So
that's pretty bad.
But that's how I feel about Dunkirk, where I feel like I need to see that in theaters, like in the IMAX, to get the full experience. So I think Valerian is like, like the same way.
Oh yeah, Dunkirk. I need to see that one.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. So, but I haven't heard too much about it, and that's how I want to keep it. So that's why I feel like I need to like see that as soon as possible. So yeah.
True
I'm debating if I want to see it in theaters or not.
Dunkirk?
Yeah, because the trailers I had zero interest in it from the trailers, but obviously it's gotten a lot of critical reception.
That's kind of how I wouldn't say zero interest, but I'm a big Christopher Nolan like movie fan, and this was the first movie where I saw the trailers and I'm like, I didn't feel like I needed to rush out and see it right away.
Yeah.
So. If you come back and say it was amazing that I really need to see it, I'll probably take your word for it more than the thousands of critics who've already said so.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm going to see it tomorrow, so I'll definitely let you guys know.
Yeah, Dunkirk is one of those for me that I think I would be okay waiting until I watch it on the smaller screen.
Yeah.
Just enjoying the story of it.
Well, one critic said it's like you're watching a ticking time bomb the whole time. Like you're just stressed out the whole time. So I don't know if that's a good thing or not.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
All right.
That's what we've watched and played.
And we are almost an hour and a half into the episode.
Welcome to the Brief Nerdy Podcast.
Emphasis on brief.
Yep.
Well, I think our news topics that we have lined up, I think we can get through those kind of quickly.
All right, that sounds good.
If you guys want.
Yeah, let's go for it. I don't think we have much to say about our first one here, but Netflix ordered a new show from Matt Groening called Disenchantment.
Is that how you say his last name?
Groening, yes.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, it's weird.
Great.
I was thrown off when I first heard it too, but I think he said it in like an interview or something like that. So I was like, oh, okay.
Nice.
So Disenchantment, don't know much about it, but it's exciting that he's finally getting away from Fox to do a show for once. And it's also what it sounds like, it's basically going to be a Futurama, but in fantasy setting.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
Did he
think
do
the quirkiness of
Futurama
the
or-
characters
yeah.
in Futurama, but just in a fantasy setting. They're not obviously different characters, but
Yeah. Did he do Futurama? Or
Yep.
was that someone else? Okay. I know
He
him
did.
from Simpsons, I think, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He did a comic called Life is Hell, and then went on to do Simpsons, and then Futurama, and now this.
Sweet. I'm actually really excited about our next news topic.
Well, go ahead.
It says IMAX is moving away from 3D. This is quote, consumers have shown a strong preference. And I'm like, yes, it's
Yeah.
dying. Finally, it's dying. The fad-ish, if you can call it that. It's a really long fad, but I'm so... I haven't been to a 3D movie on purpose in a long time.
You know, it's just one of those things where 3D used to be something special, and now they're just shoehorning it in. Like, it's an afterthought. They just add it afterwards. So it's like, I've seen way more 3D movies where the 3D just was terrible than I have, like, whoa, this 3D is amazing.
Yeah, for real.
So Hollywood did it. It's their fault. They could have really had a good thing going, but no, they screwed it up.
Yeah, I think I saw Wonder Woman in 2D IMAX, and I was very happy. Like the moment I saw it, I was looking through times that I saw IMAX and it was 2D, I was like, yes, please.
Yeah, because I love going to IMAX, but yeah, then like sometimes you don't have the choice. It's just 3D. So
yeah, that's why I've seen a lot of non-IMAX showings here lately. There's a B&B that opened up near where I live now that has, I forget what they call it, their grand screen, I think. It's kind of like an IMAX, but they have a lot of non-3D showings on it, which makes me really happy, because we've been going there a lot lately.
yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk about your Stephen King stuff, TJ?
Oh, well, yeah, this will be really quick. I was thinking about this today, and I thought it was interesting. So, Ryan, I know you said you're not familiar, but The Dark Tower comes out this week. Like, they've been advertising the movie for a little while now, but I know there was a lot of hype that they were turning this book series into a movie. I think it's like 6 or 7 books. I never read it, but it's Stephen King, The Dark Tower series. John, who was on the Breaking Bad podcast that we did, he said those are the best books he's ever read. He reads quite a bit too, and those are his favorite books. But what he's seen on the trailer, or just based on the trailers, he can't really get too excited about. And they announced recently that the first movie, it's supposed to be a series, but I guess it's all going to depend on how well this does.
Yeah.
The first movie is only an hour and a half. And I guess with, like, it's a Stephen King novel, so all the detail and stuff, you know, that's what really makes him stand out compared to other authors. A lot of fans are now nervous that it's not going to have that. And so the short runtime alongside the, like, release this week, and there's almost, like, no press for it. Like, no, like, there's nothing. Like, Ryan, you didn't even know what it was.
Nope. And how do you know it?
And it has Idris Elba and Matthew McConaughey, are like they're the hero and the villain. So like they're the two main characters. So it has like big names behind it, and you know it's a Stephen King novel. It's just weird. That's just not a good sign that that's coming out this week. Because I didn't realize it was coming out this week either until John told me a couple days ago. I was like, oh really? That's coming out already? So it's just weird. And John, he told me a lot about the books. I'm probably never going to read them because it is a huge investment. But everything he told me, I don't even know how they could even make those into, like, movies. Like he said, for example, the third book is just a flashback. The whole book is a flashback. It's one of the characters telling the story of, like, you know, where they came from and all that. So it's like, how would Hollywood do that? Has there ever been a series where there's a movie series and one of the movies is almost like a prequel, but it's in the middle?
Underworld.
Star Wars.
Oh yeah, well, well, but yeah, I guess I can't really argue that one. And we all know how that turned out. So
Underworld might be a better example, but
yeah. But then on the flip side, in September, It comes out, and It, I think, is still like, I think we talked about that before. It's like the most viewed movie trailer on YouTube of all time.
Yeah.
So that has a ton of hype around it, and they announced today that movie's going to be 2 hours and 15 minutes, and it is the longest horror novel to date. I think it's like 1,400 pages. It's huge. My wife is reading it now. She's been reading it forever, and she's only like 25% through. But she said the book is incredible. She loves it so far. But see, like that, and it is going to be 2 movies. So when it happens when they're kids, and then when they're older. So it takes place in the 80s and then present day. So yeah, so knowing that that's going to be 2 hours and 15 minutes is like, okay, they have plenty of time to cover a lot of the details and stuff. But then when you have like a 6 or 7 book series like The Dark Tower, and the first movie's an hour and a half, it's like, oh, okay, something's not right here.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. To be honest, I think that for my favorite fantasy series and stuff like that, I don't really want them to be movies anymore. I would much rather they go the TV route. Like, I think Game of Thrones proved that is one of the best ways to really tell, like a phenomenal book series.
Yeah, that's what John was saying. He said he'd much rather have The Dark Tower be a series.
Yeah.
So, and that goes back to what we said before about TV, how, this decade TV is, really becoming a serious like form of media. And yeah, there's like, imagine if like what's a show we could use? Like, well, just imagine, like, Ryan, you talked about with Breaking Bad how someone condensed it into a movie, and you're like, okay, well, it works, but it doesn't work nearly as well as it did as a show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. I think you're right, Trent. I think I might agree with you. But then again, I heard Ready Player One. John read that too. He loves that. He said that trailer is exactly how he envisioned it while he read the book. So
Nice.
Sometimes they can get it right.
Well, and single book adaptations I think can work really well. But I don't know like how you would turn. Like, I'm really excited for the Wheel of Time adaptation that's being made by Sony, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a 14-book series where each book is like 1,000 pages. So it's like, there's no way
wow.
you're going to do 14 movies, or even half that many, because a lot of those could probably be skipped, for being honest. But like, I would much rather, see like a TV show be made.
Well, see, and then it's kind of tough when you're like a big fan, because let's say you're a huge fan of The Dark Tower, and this first movie does well enough to get a sequel. So it's like, okay, cool, they're starting it, they're doing this, and then the sequel comes out and it bombs. Right. Then you're never going to get the rest of it. So it's like you almost wish they didn't start it to begin with.
It's true. And then that can happen with TV shows too, unfortunately. They get a season or two and then that gets canceled.
That's true too.
Or it's like the Divergent movies, where they make a few movies and they're like, well, let's just make some TV movies for the last one.
Are they still doing that? Are they still going through with that?
I'm not sure. I haven't heard about it for a while.
I mean,
the actors even signed on for it.
Yeah, I'll be surprised. I was honestly surprised that the first Divergent movie got a sequel.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that good, but
yeah.
Are you sure it was oozing with CW-ness?
It was very CW-like.
No, it was worse. And I feel like I'm a subject matter expert.
It's true. It's true. You are.
Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up because the movie comes out this week. I still can't believe like you never heard anything of it. That just proves my point even more.
Yeah.
So
yeah. On the bright side, it'll probably be better than Aragon.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it's not impossible.
What's that snow movie? It was actually on TV today. They're in the snow, like the Golden Compass.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
right. That was supposed to be a big thing, and that ended after one.
Oh, remember the Narnia movies?
Well, there were like at least 3 of those, right?
Yeah, out of the 7 books, 8
Yeah.
books.
But I thought there's rumblings that they're still going to continue on with that.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's harder / easier to do Narnia, depending on how you look at it, because there's not the same characters all the way throughout. Like some of them show up again here and there, but it's not like this. It's not like Harry Potter, where you have to like, you know, keep filming year after year if you're going to keep all the same actors.
Well, see, that's one thing that's kind of nerve-wracking about it. So in the book, they go back and forth between like present day and when they're kids. So it's not like they're kids and then the second half of the book they're adults. So they already said like they're gonna do the sequel when they're adults, but they said a lot of it has flashbacks and they're almost like dealing with like the kid versions of themselves. And they said they haven't filmed any of that. So the director's like, I'm just praying that these kids don't grow up really fast. But kids, the kids that their ages they're at, they could grow up pretty quick in a year.
Yeah, that's intense.
Like Brandon Stark.
Yeah, exactly.
So much to say about that.
I understand that one.
All right, so just real quick, doing the last bit of news here. TJ and I were so excited. We had our Super NES Classic pre-order from Walmart, but then Walmart canceled all the pre-orders.
Oh,
the hell has begun.
Ryan, I was so happy when you messaged me that because I was watching a movie. I was watching Tom and Huck. Do you guys remember that movie?
Yep. Jonathan Taylor
ordered
Thomas.
it. I was talking about it with my brother-in-law. I was like, man, I haven't seen that movie in years. So I ordered it and we watched it. It was just as good as you remember it to be. But yeah, so I was watching that and then I looked at my phone and I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh. So I thought I was too late, got the pre-order. I was so excited. I was relieved, thinking, great, now I don't have to stand in line. And then come to find out like a week or two later, it was a mistake. And they canceled everyone's pre-orders.
Yep. Didn't even give us like a gift card or anything.
Nope, nothing.
Just be like, sorry, try harder. No, not really.
Give you a refund, I hope, right?
Well, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they didn't. They don't charge it until like you actually get it and stuff. So.
Okay.
I just know like places like Amazon, like if there's a pricing error and they cancel your order, they're like, here's a $10 gift card or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Best Buy.
It was just a bummer because obviously we know what a debacle the NES Classic was, and you could say that Nintendo's going to learn from that mistake, but I don't know if they really. I doubt they will because I don't think it was a mistake. But now I'm kind of worried for the SNES Classic even more because I feel like the scalpers especially are going to go, oh, this is going to be the next big thing, so I'm going to buy way more than I would have even bought in the first place.
Yeah.
So.
And like I said, I don't even want one for me. I just want one for my nephews so they could grow up with the 90s video games, which are the best decade for video games.
Yeah.
But I guess instead I could get them the Sega Genesis console, right?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact name of it, but Sega didn't make it, but it is officially licensed. It's a mini Genesis, and it's just like the NES Classic where it has like, you know, so many built-in games. It has like 80-something built-in games, but I found out like 30 of them are just like generic.
Like Pong.
Yeah, or like Castle Adventure, or like boat fun. Like I don't know.
Are Master System games as well, not even Genesis.
Yeah, there's a couple Master System, there's Game Gear, but like I mean the big like Genesis games are on there, except Sonic 3 is missing, which I thought was weird because even Sonic and Knuckles is on there.
And then someone pointed out that someone got a hold of one, and it's a lot bigger than an NES Mini.
It is.
You know, it's almost the size of the original Genesis, maybe it's slightly smaller. But they said it's a very, very obvious with how light it is that it's literally like a flash drive size motherboard, like Raspberry Pi or smaller size in there. Yeah, it's just like the one spot that has the components.
But it does have a few advantages, actually. It can play cartridge games. So you can put Genesis carts in there. I think what it does is it just rips the ROM onto the console. It doesn't save it on there. But yeah, so it can play it, and you can plug in your Genesis controllers and use those instead of the wireless ones.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It comes with wireless controllers, which I'm pretty stoked about. IGN actually did an unboxing video if you want to see what it looks like. So yeah, I posted about it on our Facebook group that Ryan and I are part of. I'm like, this is what we want Nintendo. Like something that looks good, has wireless controllers, and something you'll make enough of that those who want them can actually buy them.
But nobody wants a Genesis Classic.
Apparently
Yeah.
somebody does. They'll
Well, I
probably
might be.
sell more than the Nintendo one just because they'll have more available.
Poor kid's gonna ask for a Super NES Classic. He's gonna get that for Christmas.
Like, this is the thing, right?
So yeah, the reviews like are starting to roll in. The only like hands-on reviews that I saw so far were like CNET, but they had an early copy and they said they experienced like frame rate and sound issues. But I haven't heard about that from anywhere else, so I don't know if it was just their early model that they had. But yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting though for $80.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up for this week. Trent, you still want to do our spoiler cast for Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I think we can knock it out probably 15 minutes or so.
Okay. Well, TJ, you're welcome to stick around, or you could head out on it if you like.
Well, I think I'm going to head on out for this one.
All right.
but I appreciate the invitation, though.
Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I should be back on a regular schedule now, so I will be a lot more available.
Woo! Awesome. So anybody else listening that does not want to hear the spoiler cast for Game of Thrones Season 7, Episode 3, thank you for listening, and we will hope to see you again next week. And without further ado, let's do it.
See you, TJ.
Bye, TJ.
Bye, guys.
All right. Well, getting right into it. Let's get into debatably the best scene, either the first scene or the last scene. For me, I'm going to go with the last scene.
I'm so torn because I love everything she said. Like, it was just amazing and cutting and witty. And I love that, like, once she knew how she was going out, she, like, spilled the beans about that she killed Joffrey.
Yep.
But I'm pissed that she didn't tell him that Littlefinger was involved. Because now nobody knows. And then it also, like, she spends the first half of that discussion chipping away at how much of a monster Cersei is and, like, trying to convince him that, you know, she's a horrible person. But then at the end, when she's like, ha, and by the way, I killed your son, he's going to be like, oh, well, then obviously you're a horrible person, and everything you said about Cersei just proves how right we are.
True. I didn't think about that.
So it was just kind of sad for me to think that, like, Jaime is probably at this point just very in line with Cersei now. I mean, here he was anyway, but
I mean, I'm still going off of the Maggie the Frog's prediction that her brother is going to kill Cersei, and it's not going to be Tyrion.
Maggie the Frog, who's that?
That's the witch at the beginning of season 5 that gave, like, the fortune to young Cersei.
So you think Jaime's going to kill her?
Yes, totally.
Really?
Yes. Jaime or Tyrion, but most likely Jaime. He is the Kingslayer, by the way.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I just think it has way too much poetic justice for it to not happen.
what could he possibly do at this point? Or what could she possibly do at this point that would make him want to kill her? I mean, they've lost all their kids. He doesn't care about anybody else but her.
And maybe she has to betray him in some way. You know, maybe when she dumps him for Greyjoy, Euron.
That's true, yeah.
You know, but I don't know. I think even though what I believe what you said has a lot of impact and somebody I didn't think about, I still think he's going to be slowly continued to question Cersei and her motives. Because
hopefully,
even though what you said is 100% true, you know, he does have to rethink about how, like, well, him and Cersei have thought it was Tyrion this whole time, and she's been on a wrathful vengeance for no reason. And I bet that when he gets there and tells her next episode that she's going to be like, don't care. Tyrion's still an a-hole.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, something like that.
It's true. I mean, Tyrion still did kill their father, and they know that pretty for sure.
Yeah.
But, interesting.
Such a well-done scene, though.
Oh, so good.
Well, it wasn't as well done. Oh, go ahead.
What was your other favorite scene?
Oh, the first one between Jon and Dany.
It was okay. I thought the scene between Varys and Melisandre was better.
Well, that's fair.
It was a lot shorter, but it was so many interesting things were said.
Yeah.
I love how she danced around all of his questions that you could just tell was like pissing him off that she wasn't answering.
Mhm.
And then her comment at the end where she's like, "No, I'll come back because I have to die in this strange country, just like you." And he's like looked at it like, "Wait, what?"
And we'll see. She's about 50-50 for her prediction so far. So even though I'm sure that one is correct, but I don't know why Varys has anything to worry about.
Yeah, it's true. I'm wondering like what she meant and what it has to do with the story. I mean, 'cause
Well,
he
either
could
way,
die. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say either way, we're not done with her because she has to meet Arya again.
She does?
Season 2, she runs into Arya, and at one point she's like staring at her, and she's like, "We will meet again."
Oh yeah, there's that.
So
Well, that's weird because if she's going to Volantis, then I mean she'd have to come back next season.
yeah,
She's
I
not
mean,
like
I'm sure we'll see her death if they made that prediction this episode. The fact that she'll die on this continent.
Yeah.
So
Maybe Arya will kill her.
maybe.
Speaking of Arya, did you see the big like conspiracy theory about where Arya was this episode?
Nope.
So the theory that I saw online, which I think is a little bit much, people are just like really stretching.
I'm the one that said that they were gonna that Greyjoy was gonna go get Robert's bastard son.
Oh, I forget his name.
Yeah, I don't know, Gendry.
Gendry.
That was a wild out there theory I had. But
At least it's somewhat. I don't know. This one I think was just. So people are saying that after she saw Nymeria in the woods and realized that her and her wolf's destiny are both away from Winterfell. That's what she took from that as part of the theory, that she went back south again and infiltrated King's Landing, and she was the servant that answered the door, or that came and delivered news to Cersei that she's already like infiltrated the castle.
Yeah, it's pretty far out there,
right?
Especially, I don't think it's true, especially if you've seen the preview for next week's episode, which I won't spoil. But
right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I just like I had like two or three people on my Facebook feed today share that, and I was like, come on, guys! Like, I love Arya as much as the next one, but she doesn't need to be in every episode.
Yeah.
Like, we have plenty of other characters. Also, surprisingly enough, what is it? Crap. The Maester kid. What's his name?
Sam.
Sam. I was thinking like it's not Samwise.
Close enough.
He didn't gross us out this episode.
Hooray!
Which I thought was a nice development. But yeah. So going back to that meeting between Danny and John, did it go about as you thought it would?
I thought it went a little long.
Yeah, me too.
They kind of started talking in circles toward the end, which was kind of annoying. But it's a meeting that has been so long awaited, and I think 95% of it was really, really well written, and I thought it was the most realistic expectation we could get for these two characters meeting for the first time.
Yeah.
As far as like what their goals are and what they think of each other. He walks in, he thinks she's some spoiled rich girl playing at royalty, and she thinks he's a crazy wild man from the north calling himself king.
Yeah.
So
it's very interesting. And I loved how Sir Davos kind of tied a lot of their similarities together with the breaker of chains and like John Brown, the wildlings and all this stuff, and showing how much similar they were. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
She's what, his aunt?
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm wondering if they're gonna have some way of her figuring out his heritage by being in Dragonstone. Like either the dragons reacting to him some way, or
Ooh, that's a good thought.
Like that would be super interesting.
I'm just interested to see how it comes out at all. I mean, we know Bran knows, and Bran's going to tell him as soon as he sees him, but
right,
that doesn't really make it big news to the rest of the world, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, it would be big news to a lot of people, the Bannermen of the North especially.
Yeah.
But, and I'm wondering if, with Bran being in Winterfell, if Sansa's not going to find out first and use that to take away the North from him while he's gone.
Hmm.
Be like, look, he's not really a Stark in the same way that I am. Like, I should be Queen of the North.
Yeah, I think it would actually give him more claim than a bastard would.
Maybe, but I mean, they don't like the Targaryens at all.
True.
So, and like, they would be worried that he's just gonna, go bend the knee and give Dany whatever she wants.
True.
Speaking of Bran coming back, that was a weird scene.
Can you explain this three-eyed raven thing to me? You look pretty on the night you were raped.
Right? Like, dude, the hell? Oh, oh my god, I didn't understand what they were doing in that scene, and like, when did Bran like forget how to be a human being?
I think when he got mega uploaded all of the collective knowledge of the three-eyed raven. Besides running away from the White Walkers, he hasn't really done anything since then. So he's above all that now. Childish things like socializing.
And not traumatizing his sister.
Yeah.
That was so weird. I didn't know what to think about that scene because I thought it was gonna be really cool. Like, oh, he's back. Like, they're gonna have the sibling reunion.
Mm-hmm.
She has someone that she can talk to. And, like, I expected him turning down the lordship because that was just kind of obvious.
Yeah.
But not only is he, like, the North want someone who's strong, and even though I don't know if they would accept him or not, even if he wanted it. And then there's the fact that he has this other destiny, which I still don't know what he's supposed to do. Like, how is he going to stop the Night King?
No idea at this point.
I mean, does he have any new powers other than possibly like time travel?
The only good theory I have for him is that the person who built the wall was called Bran the Builder, whom Bran was named after. But I think it will just end up being Bran, going back in time in a way.
Yeah, it's an
and
interesting
setting up the creation of the wall, so to speak.
It's an interesting theory, and I could see that being a thing, but it's like that still doesn't really answer what he does for the future.
Yeah, not at all. Like, we always assume he'd be warging into dragons, but
Right.
if they're fighting on the same side, which still might not be it. People have often wondered, what if the final battle of this series is Jon Snow versus Daenerys?
If they defeat the Night Walkers first.
Yeah.
And then they fight each other.
Yeah, or she becomes Mad Queen. And so far it's not looking like that's going to happen because we are now literally 10 episodes away from the end of the show. So I think for her to go full Mad King would be out of the realm of believability at this point.
Yeah.
But
although she's coming back a little bit off of her like no innocence will die thing based on next week's preview, but
yeah. But she also just came off of this week being like, please don't judge what my father did was a horrible thing. Please don't judge the daughter based on her father's actions,
That's true.
And she still, as of that episode, wanted to save as many lives as possible. Could be different next week, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, speaking of which, 2 really bad weeks for fans of her for winning this, battle.
Oh, that was so heartbreaking. Because last week's was kind of heartbreaking, but this week's was even more for me for some reason. Just be like, oh man, that is a big bad blow.
Yeah, well, it's. I mean, her allies are all gone now. And like, not only can they not keep Casterly Rock, they also lost the Reach. And so it's like she literally has Dragonstone.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like her dragons.
And her army is stranded on the other side of the continent.
Right.
With no way of getting home besides to walk.
Yeah. So it's like, holy crap. So
she definitely turned the tide because now she has powerful allies, and now she has the bank on her side. She could pay him off with all the money she gets by taking Highgarden.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Sacking Highgarden, there's probably a ton of money in there.
Mm-hmm.
Damn.
So she has Dorne, she has Highgarden, and King's Landing, and a ton of money. And
Yeah.
Dany has pretty much nothing, just an army on the other side of the continent.
And dragons.
And dragons.
And a few boats.
John's boat, specifically.
Right.
She stole his boat.
She took my boat. Didn't take your boat. I'm not here to play word games with you, Tyrion. That was such a good scene.
It was a good scene.
I love their interactions the whole time.
Yep.
And I think this episode reminded me like how much I love Tyrion and how we haven't really seen him do a lot lately.
Yeah.
But like his story about Casterly Rock was great. His interactions with Jon were great. His interaction with Dany was great. Just all of it was fantastic.
Yep.
And I really liked the last interaction between Dany and Jon Snow.
Ditto.
It was a lot more like they almost seemed like brother and sister for a second.
Yeah, they could actually have a conversation without being like pompous in front of their underlings.
Yeah.
Doing
It's
like
like
whole king to queen talk, you know?
yeah, it was interesting. Like, oh, and there was one really good line that I thought was cool. She said, or he said something about like Tyrion's good at talking or something, and she's like, people enjoy what they're good at, and Jon said, I don't.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is a really good line.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so simple but really powerful. I'm assuming he meant violence and killing.
Yeah, killing White Walkers.
Yeah. So that was cool. But
That's my boy Jon Snow.
and at the end, he asks her, "It's like, so do you believe me?" And she just like keeps looking. She doesn't turn back to him. She's like, "You better get to work."
Yep.
That was a perfect way to answer that question.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "No, but I'm keeping you busy while I take care of other shit because you're bothering me."
Though she might have no choice but to turn to him now because she literally has
true.
no allies. So
It's interesting. So the one wild card left on the board, in my opinion, is the Vale and Littlefinger.
yep.
Does he side with Jon and Daenerys, assuming they work together, or does he go back to Cersei? Or does he try to be Switzerland?
I don't know that with Littlefinger. You never know.
I know. Like that, he wants the Iron Throne, so he wants to be the one to win. So he wants all of them to lose.
Yeah.
So who does he back? The winner or the loser, or neither, or both? I don't even know.
Yeah.
That little speech to Sansa I thought was really good. Also,
Yeah. The one
like
they used in the trailer.
yeah, like everything is happening. Everyone is your friend. Everyone is your enemy. If you prepare for everything, you'll never be surprised. Like, oh, it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good episode. I
It
liked
was
it
a
a
very
lot.
good episode. Definitely best episode of the season so far.
Yes, I agree.
All right. Well, I think we should go and wrap it up. We're almost at 2 hours. So
Yes.
why don't you take us out?
Cool. Well, those of you that are still with us, thank you for joining us for another episode of the Brief Nerdity podcast. Don't forget to reach out to us on Facebook and Twitter and send us an email at briefnerdity@gmail.com. Go over to iTunes if you would like and leave us a rating and a review. That would help us a lot. And we hope to chat with you guys again next week.
Have a good one, everybody.
Bye.